Welcome to The Away End. I'm Daniel Alarcón.
And I'm John Green.
Hey, John.
Hey.
If you're listening to this on your podcast feed and not watching it on YouTube, you can't tell how youthful and alive John looks compared to the cadaverous, husk of a man we've been dealing with in previous episodes. You look amazing, John.
Thanks. I shaved because you look so good clean shaven. I figure that I'm just going to create my inner Daniel.
That's lovely. I'm glad we're two palatable, handsome, middle-aged men talking about soccer. I have a question for you, or I have rather a theory, and my theory is this, and I have a little bit of evidence on it, but I want to throw it to you. I will posit that national team coaches should be changed every 4 years.
No matter what.
No matter what. Especially if you win.
So if you win the World Cup, you should immediately be fired.
Yes, we call this the Tottenham rule. I just don't think that, and I'll explain my logic. And I'm interested to hear what you think about this. And I bring this up actually because Thomas Tuchel and Carlo Ancelotti, respectively the coaches of the England national team and the Brazilian national team, have both been offered new contracts to continue past the World Cup. I would say that England is a candidate. Brazil is always a candidate just because of who they are. So let's say one of them were to win this World Cup. My argument is that they should not necessarily be fired. That seems a little harsh, but that they should resign. That it's very difficult to have the continuity after you've climbed the mountain. It's very difficult to then do the necessary changes to renew the team for the next World Cup, right? Because you've already climbed the mountain with these guys, you trust them, but part of understanding the life cycle of a team is that 4 years is a really long time. If you don't change, 40% of the team, let's say, then you're not gonna make it. And my example as proof, I have two: France 2002, and Spain 2014. Two teams, they win, and then they crash out of the next in the group stage of the next World Cup.
Yeah, those are both two good examples. I would say that it is really hard for a coach who climbed the mountain with one set of players to say, now I shall say goodbye to 50% of you. Those of you who are over the age of 29 don't work for me anymore. That's hard. I think, however, that you're maybe underestimating the extent to which people like a contract and people like the sense of continuity. There's a benefit to the sense of continuity sometimes, right? Like, then as a player, that's going to be your coach even after the World Cup. I do agree that giving two coaches who should be vying for the World Cup contract extensions before they've performed in the World Cup feels a little ludicrous. Like, the World Cup is overwhelmingly the most important tournament, right? Like, the Nations League means essentially nothing compared to the World Cup. And so I think you do have to see how somebody does in the World Cup. I don't think you should fire everybody or force everybody to resign after the World Cup, no matter what. I just think that's, it's a take. It's one of those takes that would get a lot of attention online because people are like, well, that's a take.
Yeah, well, I'm expecting this to be clipped and have those little videos where someone's talking underneath me and like making facial expressions of like, what an idiot this guy is.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll happen. I'm just saying that I was about to say this is not a game, but it literally is a game. But that
it's child's play. It's something that children do for fun.
It is. Carlo Ancelotti, lifestyle influencer for glamorous old men, a real sort of players manager. He knows how to work a locker room, manage egos. Brilliant coach, not necessarily a brilliant tactician, but a winner, obviously. But he hasn't done anything with Brazil yet. Like he lost to Bolivia or something. That's it. That's about the extent of it. And so I think it's super premature to say this is our guy for the next cycle.
In general, I find it a little ludicrous that they give out so many of these contracts, because in what other field do you get like a 5-year contract for having beaten Peru twice or whatever? Nothing personal, Daniel.
Nothing. No, none taken. Well, I mean, I was going to say in writing. You write,
That's true. That's true. We do
like,
live in a contract-based business where you are given a lot of benefit if you showed past success.
Yeah.
Which is no guarantee of future success, of course.
Certainly
but
not.
Publishers are a little myopic about that stuff sometimes. So you're right. There is another field where people are rewarded for past success.
I want to ask the two of you, because we have our EP here, Sean, with us. Actually, we're actually in the same room, which is a weird thing. Hey, Sean.
Hey, what's up, Daniel?
So this is a question for both of you. Have either of you had any experience coaching your children?
Yeah.
Not in any formal setting, no. And in fact, when I have tried to just coach any of my children, I've found that they do not seem to take any coaching advice from me. I don't know what that means about me as a parent, but if they will listen to their actual coaches for, soccer or basketball or tennis or like whatever. But if I'm trying to give constructive coaching advice
about soccer, could it be that you don't know anything about soccer?
Soccer specifically.
That might be.
Yeah, soccer specifically, yes.
Okay. Tennis, I remember you played tennis. I remember you probably know a thing or two about tennis.
That was the one sport, that I was semi-decent at.
John?
I have co-coached along with my wife, my son Henry's soccer team. The only real memory I have of it, it was fun. We had a good time. Sarah did most of the coaching. She's a pretty good soccer player, and so she did most of the training and the drills and teaching kids to try to get in front of the ball occasionally, that kind of thing. The biggest memory I have was having a huge fight with the coach of the other team, where we almost went to shoving.
Wow.
Because the coach of the other team was like, that was clearly offsides, and I was like, the linesman is 14.
Yeah. Shall we consult VAR here?
I don't mean like the linesman is maybe 14. I mean, like, on the way into the game, the linesman took me aside and said, "Hey, be nice to me. I'm only 14."
Oh, right. So you were defending the linesman from an irate parent. Coach.
Yeah, from a coach who was also a parent, and he was irate because he thought that this offsides call was wrong, which it was. But like, who cares?
Yeah, right.
And then if you try to diffuse it by saying like, "Who cares? This isn't very important, and that kid's 14. Let's not be hard on him," you only make the person more irate.
Yeah. Parents do invest way too much energy in their kids' success. I remember a British parent of a kid who I played like peewee soccer with back in the day, chewing out his son at halftime because his son had gotten called offside like 6 times in the half, and this was not a sophisticated offside trap we're talking about. This was like, he was just too distracted.
He had a Sean Titone level understanding of the offside rule.
Yeah. It was like icing or something, and he, and I just remember thinking like, that seems so mean. It seems like, just let the kids have fun kind of thing, like why are we doing this? I remember coaching my son Eliseo's team, and about, he must have been 6 years old, and about maybe 2/3 of the way through the season, we were walking back to catch the bus home, and he was like, "Papi," he's like, "I don't think it's fair that we have to wear the same jersey every week and the other team gets to change colors." And then I was like, you realize we're playing different kids every week, And he was like, mind blown,
He saw the primary benefit of playing soccer, that you get to change jerseys every week, and that's the only thing he liked about the game was being denied him.
Yeah, he was like, costume change. And we it was like West Side Soccer here in Manhattan, and you get assigned a color, and it can be, a cool color. If you don't like the color, you're stuck with it forever. I believe it was purple that we had, and he just wasn't a fan,
Yeah.
He did score
Yeah.
a wonderful goal that season, which was tremendous. And I was very proud.
The only time Alice ever scored a goal in her legendary youth soccer career, which rivaled my own, I almost rushed the pitch.
Yeah. It tore down the goalposts. They cut the net.
I was, and it was like to go up like 7-1, you know? Like,
That's the one that put it away, put it out of reach. They say 6-1 is the most dangerous scoreline. So my older son my younger son doesn't love soccer. He likes the World Cup a lot. He doesn't love playing, even though I think he's pretty decent. And he doesn't like watching any soccer. But my older son is a big soccer head. So I was coached his team here in West Side Soccer one year, and I was a co-coach, same as you, except the other coach wasn't my wife, but it was a guy named Howard, Coach Howard. And Coach Howard would arrive in an SUV that would park at the top of Riverside Park, and his driver would keep the SUV on for the whole game, and then we'd go down. He's some kind of finance guy. I didn't really know who he was. And my older son is my stepson, and his dad is Italian. And Carolina, my wife, didn't come to all the games. And so the Coach Howard just assumed that we were like this intercontinental, very sophisticated gay couple, me and my wife's ex-husband, who he's Italian and I'm Peruvian, and we knew more about soccer than him. So we were like unofficial coaches and, explaining the offside rule and whatnot. And I remember he was always trying to get us to run plays like this was football. And then, we did okay. And we never corrected him because I thought it was really funny that he thought we were a couple. We did all right that season. And then I kind of forgot about him. And then I was turning on the TV the other day and I was like, Coach Howard is Howard Lutnick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the secretary, the guy who's currently trying to destroy the world economy was the coach of my kid's soccer team. And I was just like, oh, wow. Okay. It's just one of these very New York stories where I was like, you never know who's going to be in your kid's Pee Wee soccer team, and it might be the future Secretary of the Treasury.
And Epstein Island visitor.
Post, I knew that man was disgusting interview. These people, man, what a bunch of hypocrites.
Sean, have you ever been to Epstein's Island?
Have not been there. Not in the files.
That's great. I am actually. I
You're in
looked for
Epstein
myself.
files.
I looked for myself. I'm no dummy. I've had a lot of conversations with weird rich people trying to raise money for hospitals in Sierra Leone over the years. Yeah, I was in there because Michael Wolff forwarded Epstein an email of the best-selling authors of 2014, just with the message, ugh.
Oh, wow. I guess he didn't like the Baltimore Stars, huh?
I guess he wasn't a fan.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Was there any response?
No.
Michael Wolff. God.
He really covered himself in glory.
Oof.
All right, we're going to have a deep dive into the Uzbekistan national team, which I'm very excited about. And we're also going to hear a story from me about the greatest footballer who never was. But first, let's take a break.
Okay, we're back. This is the away end. Perfect. Nailed that one. I'm Daniel Alarcon. And John, I'm going to tell you about the Uzbekistani national team. The Uzbek national team.
Great.
They are known as the White Wolves. And because I am a novelist and love literature, I'm going to first talk about how they have been known as Asia's cursed team. And there's a couple of examples, but I want to dive into one, which I think is pretty remarkable. But a little bit of background. This year, they're going to be in Group K, which, as you know, is Portugal, Colombia, and either New Caledonia, Jamaica, or the DR Congo. My money's on Congo for this one. And so you touched on this, John, last week when you sort of gave us your deep dive into the national team of Côte d'Ivoire. But there's a lot of new countries. And I guess pretty much the newest are the post-Soviet republics. I think there's something super interesting here because the Soviet Union collapses and now there's suddenly a bunch of new teams. and you can either, especially the Central Asian republics, you can kind of go with Asia, or you can go with UEFA, right? You can go to the Asian Federation, or you can go to UEFA. And so a bunch of the former Soviet republics joined UEFA, the European Federation, right? So I'm talking about Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Moldova, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan kind of could have gone either way, and they joined the Asian Federation, which I think is pretty interesting. Kazakhstan eventually switched back, but the Uzbeks stayed with Asia. For this most recent campaign, they won 6 of their 10 matches, 3 draws and a loss, and they were second in their group behind Iran, which means they qualified. But why were they the cursed team? And I think this is a fun little story. They only started playing as an independent nation in 1992. They had their first game in 92. And they've been kind of on the cusp of getting to the World Cup twice before this time, when they actually made it. In 2006, they had this playoff game against Bahrain, and there was a really controversial decision that ended up sort of making them lose their opportunity to qualify. And what happened was this. They had a first leg game, Uzbekistan and Bahrain, and Uzbekistan won 1-0, but the game was annulled because the Japanese ref made an error. He basically incorrectly awarded a free kick to Bahrain instead of ordering a retake for a penalty infringement that had been scored, right? So that game, a player named Server Dejparov scored the penalty for Uzbekistan, but the referee disallowed it because of encroachment by an Uzbek player. But instead of ordering it to be retaken as per the rules, he gives this free kick to Bahrain. And so instead of going up 2-0, they stay at 1-0. And then Uzbekistan wanted basically to be given the game as a 3-0 victory. FIFA rejected it. They had the whole game played again. And that replay ended up 1-1.
Oh, no.
And then the second leg in Bahrain ended up 0-0, which meant that Bahrain advanced to the next round of playoffs on the away goals rule.
The away goals rule might be the worst rule in all of football.
It's given us some really incredible moments, I have to say.
It creates a kind of drama, but if you're Sean and you're new to the game.
Can you tell me? Yeah,
no,
I was going to jump in with the away goals.
Why don't you tell us, actually? Yeah. Let's have John. Sean.
Because if you try to pitch this idea to Sean, Sean's going to be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
Well, but first, Sean, would you explain the away goals rule?
Yeah. Wow. This one might have me stumped. It's something that happens within the game itself, like during gameplay?
I'll give you a hint. It has to do with two-legged playoffs. Two-legged meaning we play at home and we play away.
And then the combined score is what decides who wins.
If you score a goal while your team is away, it's awarded extra more points than a normal goal.
That's it.
Nailed it.
That's it. It's a tiebreaker.
Wow.
So if it's 1-1 in Tashkent and then 0-0 in Bahrain, its aggregate score is 1-1. But because Bahraini national team scored a goal in Tashkent, then they advance. Right?
Is this a rule that only happened for temporary, or is this still a rule that is happening today?
So the goal of that rule, like the purpose of it, was to encourage the visiting team to attack more, to create more exciting football, because usually teams would, if they would be a visitor, they would just sit back and defend for 90 minutes, right? So it was the goal was to create incentives to play more attacking football because your away goals would be more interesting. It had the effect actually of making the home team way more conservative than they should be. So I'm not sure it actually resulted in more attacking football. And it's a little bit of a holdover from the days when travel was an exhausting journey, like by steamship and like hike, whereas they don't use it, for example, anymore in the Champions League because it's just like jumping on your private plane from Paris to Barcelona is not like an arduous journey anymore. So
they've mostly gotten rid of it because it mostly didn't do what they expected it to do.
Right. There was that famous game where there was that Icelandic volcano that blew up, disrupting travel all over Europe and making the Barcelona team go by bus to Milan, and where they ended up losing, even though they were by far the better team. So there are sort of situations where travel is arduous, but no longer. Yeah, it didn't have the sporting impacts that they had hoped it would have.
But back to the Uzbek national team. They do not qualify for that World Cup on account of a bad referee's mistake and thereby having to replay a game and giving up an away goal.
Yes. I just want to give a shout out to the referee, Toshimitsu Yoshida.
That's brutal that you named him.
I just want to name and shame because it was a big mistake. And I'm sorry, Mr. Yoshida, but no one will buy you a beer in Tashkent. Okay, but this year they won. Their coach, Timur Kapadze, resigned afterwards. And you'll never guess who their current manager is.
I won't. You're right.
Okay, do you want hints or no?
Yeah.
Okay, former Juventus player, former Madrid player, defender, captain of the Italian national team in 2006. World Cup winner, Ballon d'Or winner, Fabio Cannavaro.
Fabio Cannavaro is a manager?
Yeah. He's a manager. He's okay, man. You're going to be shocked to know this, but I did not know much about the Uzbekistani national team until last night.
Yeah.
So I was looking into Cannavaro because I'd sort of lost track of him since he retired. He's had a really undistinguished managerial career, like managing in China, managing around Asia, like not really doing much. But he got this job. I mean, look, he brings arguably the experience of having been in a World Cup, being a World Cup winner. That World Cup 2006, Italy kept 5 clean sheets.
Yep.
Incredible defense, which if you're going to be, a debutant, a World Cup debutant, you probably want a defensive genius mastermind like Cannavaro to sort of be training you. I don't expect them to be much in terms of an attacking side. They're probably the highest profile player is this kid, Kuzanov, who plays for Man City. So therefore I hate him. He's a really good player. I mean, he's young. He had a nightmare first game. He was thrown in the deep end. He gave away a penalty, or he didn't give away a penalty. He gifted a goal to Nani Madueke. He got a yellow card like in the first 3 minutes. He was like crying at halftime almost.
Oof.
But to his credit, balls of steel on this kid because he kept playing and he played really well and he's in the team and he's a 20-year-old kid making his debut at Man City. Has a rough game but sort of bounces back. So I have great admiration for him, although I still hate him. And the guy known as Uzbek Messi, which I say with the largest air quotes you could imagine. I just feel like that's the kind of name that is like shows a real lack of imagination. Mm-hmm. Because I watched clips of Elder Shomorodov, and I can say, unless something is really lost in translation, this is no Lionel Messi at all. He's fine. He's scored a bunch of goals for the national team, 43 goals in 88 appearances. So he's a good striker, good finisher. I watched about 20 minutes of highlights, maybe 24 goals. All but 2 of them were one-touch finishes.
Just like Messi.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not... I mean, he's more like from my humble sort of like viewing of things, he's not the Uzbek Messi, he's more like the Uzbek Chicharito. This is not a world-class player. Enough respect, and I say this with all due respect to our Uzbek listeners or our Uzbek listener. He plays in the Turkish Super League, and not even for one of the teams you've heard of, John. One of the teams that you have not heard of.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and he's
Well,
fine.
when he wins the Golden Boot, Daniel, you're really going to be eating your words.
I will happily eat my words. Probably for my punishment for this will be that he scores like a hat trick against Colombia, which would really be awful. And I apologize to our Colombian listeners in advance for that. Anyway, I think it's going to be an interesting team. My take from the research that I did in preparation for this, they're going to be a defensive team. They have Fabio Cannavaro as their manager, who's going to set them up to not lose. And they have a very talented young defender in Kusanov, and that he'll be their kind of stalwart in the back, despite his youth. They will not do very well, I think, against Portugal. I hope they won't do very well against Colombia. And then, like a lot of these groups, third place is up in the air. They could surprise DR Congo or Jamaica or New Caledonia, and you never know. You never know what can happen.
And I think that's exactly what makes this World Cup so interesting is the fact that a lot of the third place teams, if they can snatch a win, will go through.
I agree with that.
I think 3 points will probably be enough to see you through. And so, if you're Haiti, you've still got a chance if you win one game.
Yeah. And we actually got an email about that, which we'll read in the next section, but about sort of questioning whether that's actually true. But we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to see Uzbekistan play in this World Cup, and I also just want to congratulate them as a Peruvian who is not in the World Cup for making it. It's a huge accomplishment, and I think that they are probably no longer Asia's cursed team. And so congratulations to all the Uzbeks out there. We should take a break, John, and we'll be right back with your story. All right, we're back on the away, and John, I have an email for you.
Great.
This is from Alejandro. John and Daniel, a Colombian here, Bogota, Millos fan, living in the United States, and I'm loving your podcast. Thank you very much. In episode 4, while discussing Ivory Coast's chances of coming out of the group stage, you said, I think this would be you, John,
Yep.
that a win and a close loss in either of the two games should be enough. Looking back at the 94 World Cup, which is, in my view, the best reference, 24 teams, 3 points per win. Russia missed the round of 16 with 3 points and a +1 goal difference. Assuming this World Cup is like 94, duplicated 3 points and 0 goal difference might not be enough, especially considering there should be more groups where one team will lose all of their games and the team quality seems to be more unequal than in previous World Cups. He signs off saying, keep up the good work, and thank you for sharing middle-aged dad thoughts about football. I feel seen. A great use of the youthful lingo there by being seen, Alejandro.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Super contemporary.
Yeah, okay. So this seems like a lot of math, John, but do you have any response to Alejandro?
Yeah, my response is that I think 8 of the 12 third place teams are going to go through. So like how bad, so if 4 teams, say draw 1-1, in their last game, in their game against, say there's 2 bad teams in each group. If you tie with the other bad team, you don't go through because you finish in third place with 1 point and somebody else finishes in fourth place with 1 point. And I think that might be the case for at least 3 or 4 of the teams. So I think I think a win is enough. A win with some close losses are enough. That's my math. My math is notoriously bad, though. You can ask Daniel, you can ask Sean, you can ask anyone we went to high school with.
Yeah, same. Well, I'm going to trust your math on that. And I guess we'll, I remember being in algebra class, and the question was something like, if you have a bicycle and the radius of a tire is this much and you pedal 6 times, how far will you go? And I just remember being floored that one could actually know that without moving the bicycle 6 times. So for me, I'm just going to wait for the games to happen and then someone will tell me who made it, because I get into that prediction mode and I just can't do it. So, but Alejandro, we appreciate your question. Should we do emails and then you want to do your story, or vice versa?
Let's do one more email and then we'll do the stories.
Okay. This is from Diego. Question. You both talked about playing football yourselves in leagues or pickup games. I live in Mexico and have played for many years in an amateur Sunday leagues, although it's not ever actually played on Sunday. The problem is that games tend to get violent alarmingly frequently. I've lost count of the number of games that have come to blows. It's utterly ridiculous and maddening. Any advice? Have either of you had similar experiences? I wonder how frequent this is in the United States.
I've never gotten to blows in the United States playing football, but I've also never played at a high level.
I remember actually I played actually in a league out in Oakland, and I remember a fight broke out. It was this league where I remember there was a security guard. They were checking for weapons when you walked into the area, the field. It was out by the airport in Oakland. What I do remember, we wore red jerseys, and there was a fight that happened in the game just before ours between a team that wore blue and another team that wore red. And I remember that when the fight broke out and the fans, because everyone went with their families and it was like a legitimate fight. I remember we all looked around because we were getting ready for our game and we realized we were wearing red jerseys as well. And everyone on my team just quickly took their jerseys off because we were like, we're not involved here. And we just held our hands up and we let blue and red fight it out. And they broke up and no one was injured. And then we played our game.
I will say the most fun I've ever had at pickup soccer was in a co-ed league where it felt like violence was really off the menu.
Yeah.
Not to make it entirely about sex and gender identity, but like, boy, I do think that there's something about men. There's something wrong with them, Daniel.
Yeah, I think that's right. I've played on plenty of co-ed teams, and I agree that does take the edge off in a way that is useful for everybody and for the sport. I want to highlight one more thing before we go to your story. Again, from another listener, from Luciano, who's an Argentine who doesn't really enjoy football, but he wanted to do a recommendation, and I just want to second this. There's a really great Argentine author named Roberto Fontana Rosa, who wrote a book called Puro Fútbol, and Luciano recommended it to us. And I just want to say I was gifted this book by an Argentine friend named Leandro many years ago, and it's hilarious and wonderful. So I just want to echo what Luciano said. It's a great book for those of you who read in Spanish. He says best wishes from the current champions. However, if we go back to what I said in segment 1, Scaloni is still the coach of Argentina, and I am officially worried about Argentina.
Okay.
All right. I'm saying it. Going on the record, man. All right.
I'm not worried about Argentina bombing out in the group phase, but I guess I've been wrong before.
You have. I didn't say the group phase, but they might lose to Uruguay, as our friend Bruno told us. So.
Yeah, no, that is possible. All right, my story for you, Daniel, is about the great Brazilian footballer Carlos Kaiser. Now, I think that you know part of this story because you're part of the reason I know about it, but I just had to tell this story on the podcast. Carlos Kaiser was a footballer whose his professional career spanned 12 years, during which he made 0 appearances. Now, this story is meaningful to me because I have always suspected myself. We all suspect of ourselves that we could be great at something we never got to be great at. And the thing that I suspect I could have been great at is I think I could have been a great locker room member. I think I could have been great in the locker room of a football team. Like when I first got my first job at Booklist magazine, I remember maybe 6 months in, my manager had my performance review, and she basically said, "You've been a great personality hire."
Wow.
Like, you don't do the job as such, but you're great to have around.
Wow.
And
how did you feel about that?
Oh, that's kind of been my thing the whole time.
Well, okay, but
nobody labors under the delusion that I was, in fact, the best novelist of 2014, but I was a personality hire.
Okay, so this is now 2 weeks in a row we've had these kind of remember last week you told the story of your coach that put you in just to teach the players the importance of trying hard.
Right.
And now you're saying you were the personality hire in your first job. So there does seem to be this theme of these kind of self-deprecating stories that I don't buy it. I feel like you were pretty good at Booklist.
I'm not being self-deprecating at all. I am absolutely celebrating my incredible qualities as a personality hire. I was a good reviewer, but my job wasn't reviewing. My job was putting numbers into a database, at which I was completely mediocre, although I think anybody could do that job.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I'm not saying I wasn't a good writer. I'm saying that I wasn't a good publishing assistant.
Okay, got it. But
Point
you were
being,
wonderful to have in the locker room at Booklist.
I was great to have in the locker room, and I suspect, and I mean, you guys might be the two people who've seen me in a locker room like setting the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think I get along with people. I think I'm a joiner. I think I can bring people together. I think I can resolve arguments. I think that like Mane and Salah needed Roberto Firmino. I would be a Roberto Firmino-like character in the locker room.
Without the goals or the
obviously
assists.
With none of the skills, which brings us back to Carlos Kaiser.
Go on.
Who was the ultimate personality hire. He became friends with many professional footballers. He did have a youth career, okay? So he played for Flamengo in his youth career, but he was not nearly good enough to be a professional footballer. And so what he would do is he would go to a new team and he would be like, oh, I got to get in match shape. You know, it's going to take me a minute to get in match shape. And then he'd do all the workouts, the non-footballing stuff, you know, the lifting weights, the running, all that stuff, which he was brilliant at because he was a fit guy. And he would do all that stuff. And then when it came time for him to sort of approach the maybe being on the bench, he would tear his hamstring. He tore his hamstring like 9 or 10 times in his 11-year career, never once actually tearing his hamstring. But back then there was no like ultrasound to look for a torn hamstring. And then eventually he would move on after a short stint at one club. He would move on to another. And he played at some of the biggest clubs in all of Brazil. I mean, he played for Flamengo twice. He played for Independiente. He played for Fluminense. He played for Vasco da Gama. I mean, this is an incredible career in which he made 0 appearances because he was a complete con artist.
I love it. My memory of the Carlos Kaiser story, the part that I love, and I think he actually played in Europe too, maybe in Portugal or something.
Yeah, I think he did.
Is that one of the things that this all started because he looked like a footballer.
Yeah, he had the look.
He had the look, which is probably why you and I could never sort of like, you know, fulfill the Carlos Kaiser role, even though we're,
right.
You know, locker room dynamite. But he was just like incredibly fit, handsome, and also he was the other I mean, this is the whole thing. The other players loved him because he was a big party guy. So he was like getting the booze, getting the girls, like making life in the locker room for the players who actually played like a lot of fun, which is why he was able to stay at certain teams. There's also another anecdote of his, which I don't know if you came across in your research, that the one time he did get into a game, he like got a red card like immediately, like within 90 seconds, and then dedicated it to the owner of the team because the other away fans had been chanting something derogatory to the team owner. So he went out, he got thrown in the game, got a red card, was suspended for 3 games, and then, you know, tore his hamstring.
My favorite story about him is that at the end of his career, he would use a toy cell phone to pretend to be taking calls from other clubs. Like, I might have to make a move here. I've got Fluminense on the phone.
Oh God!
But it was a toy.
What do you think that is? Is this just like a guy who's really creative and was looking for a way to make a living that was like soccer adjacent, or is this a con artist who could have been like, you know, a Ponzi scheme guy in another life? Like, what is it?
Well, I think it goes back to something you've observed, which is that professional footballers have an extraordinary amount of confidence. And to be a con artist, you are essentially a confidence artist. You are selling people on your confidence. And it seems like he had all of the skills necessary to be a professional footballer, except for the footballing skills.
Right.
He had that self-belief. He had that, you know, ability to convey to you with confidence that he was going to be an asset to your team. And then by the end, he had a list of clubs that had actually hired him. You know, he'd never made an appearance for any of them, but this was the pre-video being everywhere era, the internet era. And and so it was still doable.
Yeah.
I imagine that Carlos Kaiser wasn't the only Carlos Kaiser in the history of football. He's just the only one we've heard about, because eventually, it all came crashing down for him a little bit.
Yeah, but he's still living off of the 12 years that he didn't play. Like he made a documentary.
Oh yeah.
Like we covered his story at Ambulante, and interviewed a lot of people who, quote unquote, played with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also think in the age of powerful agents that there are now, there must be a number of unscrupulous agents who are selling players who can't actually play but look like they can play.
Yeah.
All over.
Well, the whole reason he got the name Carlos Kaiser was because he looked like Franz Beckenbauer. And it is still the case in football that, like, if you look like you can play, they take you seriously in a way that they don't if you don't look like you can play.
Yes, I'm nodding my head in agreement, because I feel like I usually don't get picked first, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend, Sinar, who looks like a retired soccer player, like a recently retired soccer player. He's my age. He's our age. He's incredibly fit because he like lives in Bogota, but he'll like go on his bike to Cali, like a 4-day bike ride, like down to, the lowlands of Colombia. And so, like I hadn't seen him in a while. I got to Bogota and, I gave him a hug. It was like hugging a tree. Like he's so fit, and I feel like if he walked into a bar and was wearing like a soccer jersey or some, there'd be people who'd be like, oh, what team did he play for?
Yep.
He just has that look, but he's actually, by his own admission, an absolutely terrible soccer player. He doesn't even care about soccer. Like the only thing he does is bike. But the look matters. The look matters for sure.
Yeah, and it's also how you carry yourself. Like, I mean, I remember there's a measure of just like the confidence in your body, the understanding of your body in space that you communicate in subtle ways when you're moving about the world. And Carlos Kaiser obviously had that, even if he didn't have the footballing.
Yeah. God bless him.
You guys mentioned there's a documentary. Like, I'm shocked that Hollywood, this feels like ripe for like a narrative film of like telling his story.
Boogie Nights.
Yeah, exactly. To me, it's like one of those films that you could make in a number of ways. It could be like a Boogie Nights, or it could be like a, 21 Jump Street, like comedy. Like it could be like
there's a darkness undertone potentially, or it could just be more slapsticky.
Yeah, I feel like every 5 years they make a movie about an adult going back to high school who's like pretending, and I think this could be that.
I'm trying to. I know, John, you are notoriously not somebody who cast people in movies.
Indeed,
but I don't know. I'm putting, if we want to put on our casting hats, who should play Carlos Kaiser in the Hollywood make. I'm looking at a picture of him right now, and I'm a little torn. But is Bill Hader? Is that too off? Like Bill Hader with like really long hair or something like that. Like I don't know.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, I feel like if you if you want to actually sort of sell this movie, you'd probably want to do the Mora guy from Secret Agent.
Oh yeah. That guy would be good.
He'd be good.
Yep.
Yeah. Keep it Brazilian.
Yep.
But the older guy could also be like if you do like a retrospective where Kaiser is old and he's telling his story in retrospect, there's kind of a Dustin Hoffman thing to it.
I was thinking the guy who plays Football is Life guy from Ted Lasso.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's him. That's it.
Love
that's it. Sold. All right. We're going to go soon, and John and I will write the script for the Kaiser film.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just write it on text.
That's a great new project.
Yeah. I don't have enough to do,
It would
John.
be a good movie. There's nothing against it as a movie. It's very hard to get movies made about football. I've tried for years.
Well, I don't know. I feel like other sports translate better on the one of the things that's terrible about Ted Lasso. It's a fun show. I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. But the actual football is terrible.
Oh,
it doesn't look
unbelievably.
It
bad.
doesn't look real. It doesn't look like
it
actual.
looks like it's in slow motion.
Yeah. And whereas I feel like if you watch Hoosiers, the basketball looks pretty real.
Well, they're also high school basketball players, which helps.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fair. But even in that really wonderful comedy, Next Goal Wins, which I really enjoyed and recommend as a soccer movie. I didn't think the soccer there, and they're supposed to be terrible. Even there, it didn't look real enough to sort of pass the smell test.
Yeah.
But
it's hard. It's not easy to make a good soccer movie. But that said, like, it is the world's game. And so if you could crack it, you could have a movie with a huge audience. So I'll keep trying. I'm not giving up on it. It's my only remaining dream, really, is to make a great soccer movie.
Sometimes dreams do come true. What is it, your line? Hope is never justified, but it's always rewarded. No, the opposite.
The opposite. Yeah, that would be great. If hope was always rewarded. If the world were sort of a wish granting factory where you like close your eyes and be like, I'd like to win the World Cup.
There you go. All right. That could be the premise of our soccer movie, which we'll start writing immediately on text. John, I think that's all the time we have for the weigh-in, man. I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week. Thanks to our producer, Kurt, and Sean Titone, and everybody who works on the show for making it possible.
Yeah, keep sending us emails at awayendpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.